Hey everyone, this is Yessenia and I'm back with a new video. I'm just gonna just go over really quickly some differences that I have learned and experienced between LA and New York, and I have some little notes because I don't want to forget what I want to talk about. There's a lot to cover, obviously, rent, experiences, work, people in both cities, and I'm gonna go over transportation. I'm going to go over rent. I'm going to go over scenery, weather, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I have lived in both. I have lived in New York City. I lived in Astoria, Queens first. And then I moved to Harlem, which is in Manhattan, which is AKA New York City. So sorry for those that do know this information. I'm talking to those that don't know this information because I didn't know. So hopefully to help people that don't know anything about these places or that do and just want to learn some more and whatever, or just here to be nosy. Be like, no, no, that's wrong, whatever. I don't care. It's all welcome. And now I live, like I said, I lived in Harlem and Queens, and now I live in LA, specifically in Hollywood. Hollywood is within the city of LA, which is within California. So transportation is going to be obviously a big deal if you are in New York City. It's going to be all, for the most part, from my experience, it was all public transportation and taxis. But whatever, just trains and buses for 85, 90% of the time. So the trains in New York City are very reliable. I lived in Harlem, so I took the one train down from 137 all the way to downtown or whatever where I was going. And then they all kind of connect in train stations. They kind of connect with other trains. So they kind of branch out so you can take it from there to go to Queens or Brooklyn or Bronx, whatever. So it was very reliable. I'd say I had really no issues taking the train. And to be honest, even if you feel like, oh, I'm better than that to be taking a train, whatever, let me tell you something. Everybody takes a train in New York City. That's just the way it goes. It's actually, to me, like the equalizer of people that have, super prestigious like jobs or whatever, and then you're talking to your student who is just a student, right? Like lawyers, doctors, rich, old, young, broke, they all take the train. So do not feel like you're better than anybody else or less because you have to take one thing or another. It's the same thing. Everybody takes it. Compared to LA, LA, you're going to need a car. You're going to need your own vehicle. Why? Because everything in LA is spread out. And this is all, obviously, generally speaking, I look crazy. It's all spread out, right? So, for instance, if you live here, Target's going to be far. And by far, I mean maybe, I don't know, like 20 minutes, but it's 20 driving minutes. So you're not walking there, and there isn't any like buses or trains that go that way. You know what I mean? They might be a train that goes this way, and then that's it, right? So you're going to need a car. And then with the car, you're going to do some parking validations, and I can go into all that, what that all means. Basically, it's a whole hassle with that whole parking in LA because everyone has to drive. There's a lot of cars, and it's a whole thing, which is why LA is notorious for the LA traffic. I think in this case, for this category, I think I'm going to give this one to New York City because New York has a trains, and I love my trains. So moving on to the next topic will be rent. So unless you're thinking of buying, which is crazy in New York City, but if you have money to blow, you can certainly buy yourself a condo or something, a room or whatever. I think both cities are pretty high in rent. Obviously, a lot of people are interested in going and living in Manhattan, and a lot of people are interested in living in LA. It's two major cities, so it attracts a lot of people, looking for, work in the entertainment industry, or just want to live in a cool city like New York City or like LA. So because of that, it's going to be high rent. So in this case, honestly, I can go into specifics on price differences, like really like just go into details. But right now, I'm just going to say they are both pretty much the same, as far as prices. Weather. The weather in LA obviously is better. And I mean, obviously, because even if you don't know much, you probably have heard about the California sun, the California weather, the LA weather, I should say. It is a lot nicer than the New York City weather. It snows in New York City. It doesn't snow in LA. It's freezing in New York City in wintertime, and it's a little chilly in LA. So you don't get it twisted. You're gonna still need a little jacket or a sweater or something, but you're not gonna need your heavy winter coat. You're not gonna need your snow boots or anything like that in LA. So I'm gonna say that LA wins on that one. So um, as much as I like New York City and the East Coast, I'm from Philly myself, so I'm used to. Matter of fact, I'm in New York right now and I have my little winter boots. Don't judge; they're a little dirty. I'm gonna say I don't mind wearing, summer tropical clothes, 80% of the time. So, which is in LA. I'm gonna get that one to LA, and then that brings me to my last point that I'm gonna cover today, and that's scenery. I cannot stress enough that as much as I like New York City, I love New York City. I love the vibe. I like the whole New York City thing going on. But I'm all about like energy and the vibe, and that affects my mood. So to me, it's a little bit dark in New York City. It's like closed off, a little bit congested. Um, Everything is high rises and apartment buildings, apartment complexes. Everything is under. I feel like it might just things that I would think about underground and dirty, dungy, whatever. Like all those words that come to my mind that describes that New York City versus just generally speaking LA. It's more open space and the sun's out and it feels good on your skin and your hair is, waving back and forth. So dramatic. The palm trees are breezy. You know what I mean? It just affects your mood because if you're, let's say you're just looking out your window, your apartment or your room window, and you're looking at some palm trees and like some, a little pool or something, it'll make you feel different than looking out your window in New York City and all you're seeing is another building, the window to your next door neighbor's, apartment or garbage or just a wall. You know what I mean? Obviously, like I said, it's all relative because if you have more money or if your budget, I'm not saying you have to be rich, but if your budget's a little bit more than maybe what I had working with or that I was even willing to spend, maybe you're looking outside the window and you're looking at some trees in New York City, but it's just more rare that you would be able to get that kind of scenery versus LA. Obviously, there's more land, it's all spread out, so it's more likely the likelihood of having a better scenery. And even just if you're driving, you don't even have to be. I'm not even talking about looking at your window, just driving. It's nicer driving through like Beverly Hills, like West Hollywood. Like those neighborhoods are so beautiful to like drive through and just put the windows down in your car and just drive through them. It's just so pretty. But I still will say that from my experience, I was living in New York City for about 3 years, and I have been in LA for 4 months, 5 months, 4 months, 4 months, yeah. Either way, I still will say that I'm still learning a lot about the LA, West Coast market, and I'm still forming my opinion on it. I'm open-minded on, just wherever I live to give it a chance and to really like it. So far, I will say that I really do like LA, but I still will give it to New York City. And I'm not from New York City, so I'm not being biased. I'm from Philly, like I said, so I don't really care who's better. It doesn't matter to me, but I will say that I prefer the New York City market, the New York City living, the New York City lifestyle because of it being a faster paced city. it's a lot more people. So it's like a good and bad thing, I guess you can say, because it's always congested everywhere you go. But it's a lot more people. So the likelihood of you talking to someone that you might click and vibe with is more of a likelihood of that happening in New York City. And if you don't like somebody, you just on to the next one because there's so much people. There's so many more bodies in New York City than LA. There's a lot of people in LA, obviously, but just not as many out there because of how spread out LA is. That to bump into someone just in the train or out here or whatever, it's just less likely. Um, but it's up to you. It's all going to be up to your experience. What you're moving to New York or LA for, what kind of market, what kind of job are you looking to get into? What kind of industry are you looking to get into? And what kind of budgets you're working with. It's going to depend on so many different things. I'm just coming at you from the perspective of someone who I remember not knowing anything about New York City, and I knew nothing about LA before moving there. So I'm coming from, I learned from trial and error, and I'm just trying to help someone out there who is thinking of moving into, New York City or LA, and just helping narrow down, like, some of the differences. So I kind of want to go into details with each topic. I think it'll be really helpful for someone because I know that I wish I had someone that's like, literally break it down, like just easy, just someone who just knows what they're talking about because they've been in both places. I don't want to make this super long, so that's it for now. This is Yessenia. If you have any questions for now, let me know. I want to make a video on whatever you guys think that will help you guys out. So let me know if you have any comments or anything. You can leave them below, and I would love to get into some conversations about these big cities like New York City and LA. See you next time.